and get into the PS5 event that just happened. That is pretty much going to be the only piece of news, the only anything we're going to discuss today, because I'm sure there's a lot to discuss there. We will discuss like a tad little bit from Guerrilla Collective, but not a lot. And then, a few other little news items, but mostly Sony has our full attention today.
Yeah, that's the big news item of the week for sure. No doubt.
100%. Been waiting a long time.
Yep.
To see that big giant space tower.
See that alien.
Yeah. Straight up Alienware PC thing. I mean, do y'all want to start there? Do you want to start with the giant tower, the Alienware PC tower, and just talk about what we think about what the actual console looks like, because we have seen it now?
Yeah.
General thoughts. What are we thinking about the design? For how much that matters, but what are we thinking about it?
Right. Yeah. So I guess if people don't know, Sony had their big PlayStation 5 stream that I guess is kind of taking place of their show that would normally happen at E3, but because of this coronavirus pandemic, that was canned. And at the very end of this stream, they revealed what the console looks like for the first time ever. And people are kind of, I wouldn't say like ripping it apart, but they are kind of poking fun at it. It definitely looks like a router, in my opinion. What do you guys think?
If you watched Darby and my reaction to it, we kind of didn't really like it at first, or just because we were kind of talking a lot like, that thing can't go on its side naturally. And they didn't show it ever going on its side.
Well, they did for like literally a millisecond. Like it's hard to even pause it to see, which is probably a mistake. They should have done that more. And yeah, some of our discussion is a little like outdated now because we looking at it, I was saying like, look at this. There's like, it's curved on both sides. There's no way this thing can go on its side, which I was going to be especially mad about because like everyone's entertainment centers is built for horizontal consoles. It's just that would have been a very big mistake. It can go on its side, but I still do think apparently like you have to have a stand for it to go horizontal, which I still think is a tad obnoxious.
Yeah.
I was talking with Jacob yesterday about it. My in general, I think it looks cool. It's a little Alienware-y.
It's overwrought.
It's a little much. But overall, I think it looks cool. It just looks like, very gamer, but it looks cool. I do think it's kind of style over practicality, which after you've had the console for like 2 months, you're not gonna give a shit what it looks like, and you're gonna be a lot more annoyed that like, how do I pick this damn thing up? How do I, where is the stand? Oh, damn it, I left the stand at Jeff's house. Damn, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I did.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I like the focus on airflow, I guess, because you saw that with the Series X too, where it has that huge vent up top. And like I feel like that's the main problem with my PS4 anyway right now, is that it runs like a jet all the time, which of course this is a launch PS4, so it's old, but yeah, I'm glad that they're paying attention to vents and stuff like that. But I think a lot of it actually comes down to the color. I think if it was black, it wouldn't look quite as gaudy, I guess. But I think the size is also going to be an issue, because from all the renders I've seen, it is a huge console.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's straight up going to be too big for some people's entertainment centers,
Yeah, I'm with you, Will, on the fact that, if it has to look that way so it runs quietly, I'm like, design it however you want, because my PlayStation 4 also sounds like a jet engine taking off whenever I'm running like any really modern AAA game. And so if this runs a lot smoother, a lot more quietly, then I'm all for it. One detail that I'm not sure how I feel is the lights on it, just because I feel like that's probably just going to be an obnoxious detail, like the current DualShock 4 controller, where you just want to turn those lights off, but you can't. And if you're playing in the dark, those lights are going to be illuminating the room in a way that might not be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree, and yeah, if the DualShock gives you any indication, I doubt it's going to be something you can turn off. And I mean, the whole thing about the console is I'm not as dramatic against it as some other people, but it feels like it's designed to sell the box and be visually striking. But again, you are just really not going to care about that very quickly. And like you said, I like playing games in like pitch black darkness, and I could totally see. I mean, that looks like that's producing a lot more light than any console has done before. The PS4 has that like thin little strip that's kind of non-intrusive.
Oop.
We lost Will. Hopefully, we'll get him back.
I still have Will
pretty soon. It's on my end, I guess.
And another thing with the whole, I guess, slightly curved or asymmetrical design to this console, I know with the PlayStation 4 and how it's kind of built in that slanted kind of box design, whenever I pick it up and I have to plug in an HDMI port into the back, it is incredibly hard to find that HDMI port because you can't see over the back of it. You have to kind of lift it up. And so I'm hoping this does not have the same problem where if I need to plug something into the back of the console, I have to pick it up at a weird angle and kind of hold it over my head almost to see what I'm plugging in and where. So that's also a concern of mine.
Yeah, 100%. And this does not look like something that would be easy to pick up and move.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe I'm a unique
to travel with.
Well, maybe I'm in a unique situation, maybe, but like I'm actually packing up and moving my PS4 quite often because I'll take it to my sister's house to play games or take it to my parents' house, take it different places. So my PS4 is put into a case and in a car with me pretty often. And I'm looking at this, it's like, I don't know, I'm going to have to get some other gigantic monstrosity case just to fit this. I mean, not only because of the size, but like the wings and everything. It's just going to be, if this was a PC tower, I'd be like, okay, that's a pretty cool, futuristic looking PC tower. It's just going to sit in one place and that's fine. But a console is supposed to be, in my eyes, something that's a little more portable than a PC tower. I can just pick it up and go. Yeah.
I feel like in a vacuum, when I look at that console, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I think it looks really sweet just by itself in that little white space or whatever. But yeah, whenever I think about it sitting on my like mahogany, entertainment system and beside my TV and stuff, I'm like, oh man, that's going to look really out of place.
Oh yeah.
So that's the only problem I have. It's just going to look weird in my apartment.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people say this is the thing that they're like gonna feel slightly self-conscious about displaying when people are like, oh, you're one of those gamers that gets the like bright obnoxious things or whatever, which I don't think it's quite as bad as like some other gamer tech. I think it looks sleek, but it's definitely, they were going for they wanted it to be like visually striking,
right?
They didn't want it to you to just be like, oh yep, there's a console. They wanted people to talk about it, which I think console design is maybe not the best place to go for talking about, I don't know. It's just not that important ultimately, but no,
well, hopefully those kind of that white kind of outer layer can come off and you can put custom over it, so you can get a mahogany cover and put it over and it'll blend right in with your entertainment system.
Yeah, wood shape.
I just want to have a version of those that just has Shrek's face. Just a PNG of Shrek, just like
Knack's face.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Knack on one side, Shrek on the other.
Yeah. The power.
It is funny thinking about how people were making fun of the Series X for looking like a fridge, but like, no doubt the Series X would look better in my apartment than the PS5.
The Series X actually looks like the way more kind of like modest, like, laid back console, whereas this one's the more like in your face one.
Well, I feel like, I don't know where the PS5 was made or whatever, but it definitely does seem to be just a difference in like American style versus maybe Japanese. But I don't know if it was actually made here or not.
I also think these mega corporations are just trying to push us to the actual sci-fi reality we see in movies, where all the architecture and all this stuff has these crazy, ridiculous designs. And, we're heading that way, I guess.
Do we want to talk about the disc versus the discless version, the two SKUs of this console?
Yeah, I do think that is a interesting move that I didn't necessarily expect. I also don't think it's like crazy surprising. But I do think it is a pretty firm step. Obviously, we are going towards a mostly digital future. This is a big step, and this is something that I'm sure they kind of had to tell the GameStops and Best Buys of the world, like, okay, whatever, we're moving on. Because this is obviously something that, like, those retail stores would not want you to do.
Yeah.
Is to have a bunch of people buy consoles that they can't get discs for. But I think having this at launch is a pretty big indication of, that Sony and probably Microsoft are, aware that we're going this way.
Where does everybody stand on what version, if you're going to even get a PlayStation, like what version do you think you would opt for, the disc or the discless?
Disc all the way. Just because the main reason you'd probably want to get the digital version is potentially, to save money on the actual console. And I have to imagine having the disc version would save me more money in the long run, just because of sharing games between, all of us. Like it'd be, the difference between them would be maybe 100 at most, and that's just like the absolute most. It'll probably be like 50 or something, 50 to 100. So that's like, we share 2 games as far as price wise goes, then you already save more money right there.
Go ahead,
Will.
Yeah, I was just gonna say my mind initially at first went to all digital when I saw that. But the more I started thinking about it, it's not even so much with games anymore. I'm almost not exclusively digital. I have a few physical games that I play every now and then, but for the most part, I am all digital. But the more I started thinking about it, I realized that it wouldn't just be about losing physical games, but also DVDs and stuff like that. Even if I don't really consume that all too much, we do have like a pretty decent collection of DVDs and Blu-rays that I don't know if I would want to like have to go buy a separate system for that. So I think it will depend on price. I think 100 is probably going to be the difference, although I've heard like Greg Miller and some others say that they could see 200, which I think is crazy.
That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a little much.
Yeah, it was interesting because he was saying like once they do have that all digital version, they're able to cut out all the retail, so they would be able to make up that money like super quickly with all people buying on their storefront. But yeah, 200 does seem like a lot. So I don't know, for $100 difference, I might just go for the disc, even though I do think it's significantly more ugly.
Yeah, I'm kind of for me at least, it's like the big question is, how does PlayStation 4 backwards compatibility work with this? Because I have quite a collection of physical PlayStation 4 games. Right. And, if I can pop in those old discs into this new PlayStation 5 and play those games, then yeah, I'll get the disc version, no doubt. If that's not the case, then that digital version is pretty attractive. I got the Switch not too long ago, and I made it a point to not really buy physical Switch games unless I absolutely, unless it's like a collector's edition of something that I want. I honestly
kind of forget that the Switch has cartridges a lot of times. I really do.
So yeah, it also makes me question. This is an interesting step. We saw it before with the Xbox One Slim as a digital version,
the sad edition.
Yeah. It does make me wonder though, like, obviously I think like an all digital consoles and I guess video game industry is a likely future, a very likely future. And I do question, how does that pan out for like archival purposes, in the future?
Probably not great.
Yeah. If it gets to the point, where it's like, oh, I can't play this game that's 15 years old because, it was all digital and, I can't access that. There's no servers up. It's impossible to archive it. Yeah, that I do. I'm a little curious and concerned about that. In a way.
I agree. My biggest thing for why, like, unless the price is astronomically different, I'm definitely going for disc drive, is I just think about in the PS4 generation how much money I saved by like playing your Control copy, your Resident Evil 2 copy, and then you played my God of War copy, I played Jeff's Spider-Man copy, you played, like that kind of thing. You just save a lot of money that way, and that's something I just want to have the option. And I have to imagine this is probably. I mean, I don't know. We've been saying it for 2 generations, but I would think this is probably the last generation that we even have disk drives. But
that's what it feels like. At least before we actually hit that generation, that's what it feels like. Who knows what might happen in the future?
Yeah, Lord, who knows? I mean, people talked about the PS4 not having it potentially. So who freaking knows? Yeah, so I'm probably going for that. I agree that I would guess $100. Anything more than $100, and I think there's going to be some controversy, for $100 for just the disk drive.
Yeah, I mean, a disk drive, it's money, but it can't be that much of a difference.
Even on a PC, if you order, like I just built a PC online or whatever, and you getting the disk drive, it's like about $100 difference even for that. So.
Yeah.
Yep, be interesting. Was anyone else have any last things about the actual design of the console before we move on to the Vigimo games? All right,
USB-C. Yay for USB-C.
Yay for USB-C. All right, Jeff.